Thank you very much. So everyone has their phones with them?
Yes.
Good. So we will be giving you certain references and you have to pull them up on your phones. Not right now, during the course of our presentation. Is that okay?
Yeah.
These references will be from Bhagavad Gita as it is and Srimad Bhagavatam. So everyone's okay with that? Hmm? Yeah? All right. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, most of you are regulars here, or is there somebody else?
Every one of them are regular. Ashish's sister is from Canada today visiting us.
Hi. Hare Krishna. Oh, where from in Canada?
Mississauga.
Mississauga. Good. Do you work there or you stay there?
I do work there.
You work there in the industry?
Software.
Software. Mississauga, big industrial belt. Mississauga, Brampton are like Chinchwad, Pimpri Chinchwad. You know Pimpri Chinchwad in Pune? Pretty industrial towns. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Kind of. At one point of time, it was about 15 years ago, when the, I think 1/4 of the entire population of Canada was living in the Brampton, Mississauga area. Really? I'm not joking. Maybe you should look it up on Google. At least that is what the sign there said, Mississauga. Now it's different. Toronto's grown up. Toronto is in its youth now. Yeah. So, self-motivation. It's a buzzword, right? Self-motivated. How to be self-motivated? Should I do Shirsasana for that? Standing up on my head. Fasting. Yeah. Some seminars. So it's helpful. So we'll talk a little about the self. I'll tell you a story. So Many ages ago, when there were kings and kingdoms on this planet, horses, people riding on horses, armies like that, cavalry. There's a beautiful kingdom, very prosperous. And the people there had a lot of resources, a lot of facilities, minimal taxes, like a welfare state without the homeless.
Ideal town.
Yeah. They had a peculiar custom. Their king would have a 5-year term. That was a custom. So anyone could apply for the post, and they could be, obviously, they had to be qualified, so they would be vetted. And then they could be the king. And they had a lot of facility for comfort, like serious facilities, like really. Even their servants would have BMWs. Yeah. And they had platinum credit cards, the servants. That was how prosperous the kingdom was. So the king, you can imagine, the king would have many times over silken beds. Like the king was like, only 10 layers of silk, I should have more. Pure silk, like that. So filthy rich. At the end of the 5-year term, the king would be banished. So that was a custom. And the king would be banished to a remote island. And nobody would ever hear of people who had been banished. So you could be the king for 5 years, and then you'll be banished. So, you know how people are Jugadu people? You know what is Jugadu people? Smart people, right? So, a few of the citizens, they felt that with so much power, they could find some way by which they may change the system or overcome the system. So they would become the king. And they would have such satisfaction ruling over the kingdom. Besides the facilities for enjoyment, there was so much power vested in the king that the king could, be generous. The king could look after the welfare of his kingdom very well, to one's heart's content. So administration was really very, very fulfilling for the king. It was like Amazon 2 years ago. Right now it's difficult in Amazon. But when Amazon started booming, it was like milk and honey flowing there. Right? So anyways, the first year they would just absorb everything. The second year they would realize that dues have to be paid in just 4 years' time. The third year they would become concerned because they couldn't find a way out of the system. Yeah. You had to have that X factor to get out of the matrix, right? So no one had the X factor. They thought they had. By the fourth year, they would be having the primary symptoms of depression. And the fifth year was spent in a lot of stress. And at the end of the fifth year, they would be banished. Now, there were rumors that this remote island was very wild. How wild was it? The island was, it was totally unexplored. And it had a lot of other species living there, especially the dangerous kinds. So on that island, the top of the food chain would be the carnivores, not humans. Since it was a lush and green island, there would be enough on the bottom of the food chain too. Only the king would be banished to that island. These are rumors, all right? They're just rumors. People would hear. Somehow rumors fly. Nobody knows how they come about, right? So just rumors. And then none of them who had been banished were ever heard of again. So the folklore, the understanding amongst the citizens was that they would be eaten up by the carnivores. So time went on. There were about 15, 20 generations of kings like that. Is it interesting? Yeah? Okay. So 15, 20 generations of kings ruled, went through depression, stress, finally just gave up, like what, there's nothing we can do, got banished to the island, never to be heard of again. The 21st generation, somehow or the other, was inspired by the Hare Krishnas. And some sky plane flew by, dropped pamphlets. Something happened. It was the outreach program of ISKCON. Okay. So one young man, similar to someone like Brajas, one young man already was a little eccentric, therefore fits you. He had this sudden brainwave or eureka moment. I want to be king. So his parents were like, shh, shh, shh. They were trying to give him some sleep medicine so that he could sleep. But he just broke loose. He said, no, I want to be king. So then the neighbors heard they needed a king. It was vacant for some days, the throne. So this was 5 years plus 2-3 days like that. So when the neighbors heard, they said, hail our king, hail our... People would be very happy to make somebody the king, isn't it? Correct? Like everyone is very happy to find someone who can distribute prasad. As long as we are in line with plate for prasad. So who's going to distribute prasad today? He. He's best suited. Or she. Very rarely it's I, because you're never sure what will happen. Unless until you know the game, that if you are serving prasad, you get to keep 3 plates for yourself. If you have the inside news, then you will be like volunteering every day. So, anyways, they were all very happy. They anointed him as the king, so he started ruling, and he was a happy fellow. First year, he was having a jolly good time. He was like on Facebook, Insta, every day ruling the kingdom and giving so many diktats, which were very well received by the subjects, and everyone was happy, and everyone was following him on social media. Really popular king. Like what is the king going to do today morning? That is what people would be waiting for. So he was making a lot of money off social media too. Yeah. He's getting revenue. Smart fellow. So he gets his salary, he gets the perks. Second year, and some of the ministers and his friends, they're like, we just have 4 more years. Yeah, let's have fun. So then he would have people come together, kirtan, and discussions, discourses, visit holy places, take the entire kingdom with him, then have festivals, and everyone was like, this king is different. And the doctors, especially the counselors, the psychoanalysts, they were concerned. Is this a new strain? So they went back to the labs to see if there was a different strain that had come in. Because by now there should have been some concern being shown by the king. The king was the least concerned. Since he was there on social media, you know how social media works. Correct? You can actually draft a lot of your presentations and then be away for 2 days and people wouldn't even know because you have so much already uploaded and you premiere it. So he was very good. Third year, fourth year, there was absolutely no concern being shown in his behavior. Every year he was becoming all the more happy, all the more excited, all the more full of life. So the citizens thought that, yeah, sometimes you need a really mad king too. As long as everyone's happy. So they're all happy. It comes up fifth year, 365 days done of the fifth year, everyone comes and says, banish the king, banish the king. So the king comes out in his best of dress, and brings his best of chariots. He's like, hello everyone, Hare Krishna, yeah, I'm leaving, don't worry, you'll hear from me. And people are like, anyways, this is a story to tell our grandchildren and great grandchildren. Once upon a time we had a king like that. So they banished him to the island. Now they were looking for a new king. They found a new king. A couple of years passed. And then they see a ship come to their shores. And the previous king lands on the shore. He's like, hey everyone, how are you doing? How is your new king? And they're like, you came back from the dead. He said, no, I never died. So all the other kings, are they alive too? No, they are dead. I saw the skeletons. I offered my prayers, did anteshti for them, so that they could have a good destination. How do you survive? He said, very simple. When I would have things premiering on social media, I would disappear from the city. I would take a few skilled personnel with me to the island. And I started developing that land. I was taming Diwali life there. I made a sanctuary for those who could not be tamed. Fenced them in. I dug wells. In fact, I have a better palace there than it is here. Nice courtyards, nice orchards. And I have the latest PlayStation 5 too. On that I play Hare Krishna games. They're like, how did you do it? He said, I read the Bhagavad Gita. You know that playing that flute? They dropped something. So I read it. They said, what did you read? I said, okay. If you want to know what I read, so pull out the Bhagavad Gita right now and I'll tell you what I read. So everyone's ready? Yeah? So we are going to read this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Alright? This is chapter 2, verse number 69. Everyone's got that? 2.69. If you go to Google, just type BG 2.69. And the option, the very first option. Alright? Everyone's there? Alright. So this is the verse that he read. So this is how we are going to do it. We are all going to participate. First, I will chant the first line and then all of you collectively repeat after me. Then I'll do the second line and you all repeat after me. Is that alright? Okay? Ya Nisha Sarvabhutana Tasyam Jagarti Samyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Muneha. That is Guru translation. What is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-control. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sages. Well, it seems very catchy, isn't it? Maybe we could meditate on this verse this week, right? Night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-controlled. Who is the self-controlled entity? Somebody who has a strategy in life. If you have some strategy in life, you exert control over your other senses, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a strategy in life, then you'll be confused, bewildered, or you may just be lost. So what is night for all beings? Those who have not figured out what is the strategy in life on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, and long term. Well, they have to be open to a lot of ups and downs in their lives. And they would not be sure of how to handle it. Sometimes they would be good at it, a lot of times they would not be able to figure it out. But the self-control is that it knows what is it that they want to achieve in life. So they are just distracted, they use their time much more judiciously. Their energy is well spent. So that is it. Basically, they are very frugal with how they should not be wasting their time. They're very frugal in that. So that is self-controlled. So when everyone else is bewildered, and therefore they are trying to understand how to figure out things in life, this person is sleeping. Because this person has already figured out what has to be done in life. Right? And finally, when everyone who's confused gives it up like, forget it, whatever happens, happens. Let me just have a nice sleep. When they go off to sleep, this person is awake and working on his or her strategy. So since this person is awake and working on the strategy, that person is called as being introspective. Yeah? So the difference between an introspective person and someone who's bewildered is just that the introspective person has figured out how to decrease wastage of time and energy. That person's just figured it out. And it could be by default because is making optimal use of one's time and energy. So it's not really very mystical, it's just physics, I guess. That person is, logically, that person has figured out what to do in life. Now, for those who have not figured it out, what could be the challenges? Like the other kings, they could not figure out. They wanted to figure it out. They became kings. They had the facility. Somehow, they did not have the, I guess, the fortune of a plane passing by and something falling down and for them to read. No, they did not get hit by, hey, what's that? 2.69. So most probably, they did not have that opportunity. Yeah. Like one man was just so much in stress walking down the street and he gets hit. He's unaware. He's just in his own thoughts walking down the street and he gets hit by a sign. He's like, what? And the sign, he looks up. But what hit him? He says a sign, it says, arise. He said, oh, okay. Now somebody else it was just kindergarten teacher who was telling the students arise, but this made sense to him in that moment. That placard. Yeah. So life sends messages in very, very interesting ways to us. When we are trying to understand those messages, it hits us. When we are distracted, we are on some other channel to miss it. So challenges. So what are the challenges? So now we'll go to Bhagavad Gita 4.40. For someone who's taking some time figuring out what could be the strategy in life, these are the challenges that that person has. 4.40. Yes? So again we'll do the same process. Agyascha Shraddhanascha Sanshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokosti Naparo Na Sukham Sanshayatmanaha. Translation. But ignorant and faithless persons who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness, they fall down. For the doubting soul there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So what happens to someone who's not figured it out? They have a couple of options. So this is one perspective. There could be a few other perspectives, but we have picked up this perspective for today's class. Alright? So what happens to someone that has not figured out what a feasible strategy in their life, a goal that could be long term, that could go beyond just their immediate needs in life, in terms of just the self, just the family, just the nation. I mean, someone has to be like crazy, like Sir Isaac Newton, that if an apple falls down, don't make apple chutney out of it. Think why it fell down. Because the rest of the community was just doing that, right?
Yeah.
It was not just because it was not that Newton was sitting under this apple tree and then the apple decided to fall for the first time. That did not happen. So apples had always been falling down. People would pick it up and make chutney. They're like, this season apples fall down. Some would say like, okay, apple chutney. Is this season of the year? That was how they would use their intelligence. Newton is like, why is it falling down? People are like, why shouldn't it fall down? If it doesn't fall down, how will you make the chutney? This is God's grace on us. The Lord has provided. And Newton is like, okay, but the Lord has also provided something to the apple. Stay hanging there and at a certain point fall down. So the Lord is not just providing you for your stomach, the Lord is also providing you enough food for your intelligence. So if someone has not been there, someone is not in that situation, then what could be the options for that person? First, the option is staying in ignorance. Second, the option is having not figured out things in life after a couple of years, a couple of decades, become faithless. Those are the only options, right? So agya means ignorant, ashraddhana means faithless. Right? Samshayatma. Now this two, agya and ashraddhana, ashraddha, if they decide to let their state just evolve to the PhD level of such confusion, then that is called as samshayatma, doubtful personality. So doubtful personality with lack of faith is a dangerous combination. Doubtful personality with ignorance is not any better, because doubt is something that makes you inert. Doubt is that which gives you so much impetus to waste your time. When you have, see, doubt is different from being inquisitive. That is what we are trying to discuss. Someone can say, oh, if you have doubts about scriptures, so is that wrong? No, you are inquisitive about scriptures. Don't be doubtful about scriptures. Be inquisitive. Try to find out. If Newton would have been doubtful, oh, apple fell down, is there a ghost around or what? What if it all the apple fall on my head? Will I die? So he's inquisitive. Isn't it? So these options are not very helpful. And we see that this is actually true. There could be temporary phases of ignorance, doubt, faithlessness, or there could be long-term phases of such situations. And the life energy that we have is only used for basic, for trying to meet the basic needs of life. We are never able to figure out, or we are never able to give proper food to our intelligence. Yeah? So, verse number 4.41. Next verse. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nivadnante dhananjaya. Translation. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work or conqueror of riches. So, Krishna is hinting at what could be the remedy in this verse. What is the remedy? The remedy is that expose yourself, stand there right in the middle of the street and say, let me be hit by 2.69 from somewhere, somehow. Explore. Explore beyond what the standard means of livelihood train you to be. The standardized version. Explore beyond that. Try to explore beyond the, not just the parameters, but also the ingredients that have been standardized for us in terms of living. Try to explore beyond that. Why should we explore beyond that? Because we have the facility to explore beyond that. Today there's this gentleman somewhere in South California establishing some outpost also in Texas who says, I'll go and live on another planet. Anyone wants a one-way ticket there? And there are people there who have signed up. One-way tickets. But 4 years ago, this sounded like a crazy idea. Now with the kind of UAVs we are developing, unmanned aerial vehicles, selfless driving, AI into the picture, seems feasible. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, if you are just looking for a good package in this company, that's just wanting to be a slave of his company. However, if you want to be an innovator yourself, the facility is there. Whether the resources are there or not, that is another concern. The facility to be inquisitive is there. This is the benediction of the human form of life. So that is what Krishna is trying to encourage us here. Use that facility. And for that, you're going to need knowledge. And you know how knowledge is? You walk, somebody just pushes you into the classroom, and there's this crazy person who's like dumping your data. And you're trying to sift through that, okay, there's nouns, pronouns, adverbs, adjectives. History, sociology, biology. You're trying to sift through all of that, figuring out what could be the optimal use of your human time and energy. See what knowledge does? If we had not gone through that, we'd still be sitting in some satsang program in some remote corner of the world. But we'd be worried about, is there sufficient prashadana? Which could be the concern even here.
No, it's opposite here.
It's the opposite here. But here, you also are interested in what knowledge you can gain more. That facility is not available if you've not been through this process, if you have not sifted through this process of accumulating data and analyzing it. So you see how knowledge is very important. You figure out what kind of gel works with you, then you can have a nice profile picture on Facebook. Hair gel. Is it true or not?
Yeah.
Exactly. Or we could just have a turban as people would have in the past. So you see, hair gel, strands of hair, the hair root, the tip of the hair. There's so much data. So you do that. And if you're still the explorer, you'll go beyond that. What would happen if I were traveling to another planet? How would this hair gel work there? And how would my hair grow there? That is an innovator. Yes? So Krishna says, by transcendental knowledge, one is situated factually in the self. And we'll conclude with the next verse of the Gita. This session, this part of my presentation, all right? Next verse is 42. Tasmat ajnana sambhutam Vritastham jnanasinatmanah Chatvainam sanshayam yogam Atishthotishta Bharata. Translation. Therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. Armed with yoga, O Bharata, stand and fight. Stand and fight basically means figure out how to make the hair gel work on your hair on another planet. It was a fight. If the gravitational activity there is different, as soon as you take the hair gel out of its, or maybe if it not even come out of its nozzle, or out of that thing, it may start floating. It may melt. It could hurt you. So you have to fight to protect yourself. Yeah? So stand and fight. Basically, it means do that which is essential for you to be self-motivated and protect yourself. Helpful? This section of the Gita is helpful? Yes? So this is what was done by the 21st generation of the king of that island. And he sent me a message right today morning. He said, you should share this, these verses with the group today. And that is how I'm sharing it. Okay? There is this beautiful book. It sounds like the book, it seems like it is full of grandma's tales. Because most of that would have been heard by previous generations. But like our grandma today is YouTube. Dadi माँ की कहानी on YouTube. Audiobooks. But grandma tales are those that, when there's nothing else to do, you're like, okay, how else can I trouble others and trouble myself? I'm out of ideas. So you're just like, Grandma, can you just help me pass my time? And she comes in with those stories. And those stories are so far out. You forget that you have to trouble others. You forget that you have to trouble yourself. You're like, this is so soothing, so relaxing. So where did grandma get those tales from? Srimad Bhagavatam. Other Puranas. Right? Now, physics could be interesting if you just look at the stories of physics, and it will be tedious if you look at the literature that's there. Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, Einstein never had to study Newton's laws. Newton had never to study. But they left everything for us. What a burden. Isn't it? But then they never had the refrigerator, did they? So the literature could seem a little tedious. If you learn to read, or if you learn to understand the meanings of the words that are there in literature, you fall in love with literature. You just connect with the meaning that is being offered when we read those words in the literature, in the Puranas. Like, man, that makes sense. So that's how one can go through the Puranas, sift through them, read through the Puranas. So Srimad Bhagavatam, there are various cantos, various volumes. 12 volumes, 12 cantos. Actually, it's skanda. Somehow the other English translation is cantos. Sometimes you feel a little concerned about anything that starts with can't. Can't, oh. There were people say, I can't. Oh, sir. Oh, madam, I can't. Oh. Skanda is good. Yeah? So 12 skandhas. Basically, you don't know what it means, so it's good. It sounds foreign. Mystical, Skanda. So the seventh canto describes a very, very healthy mutation of the Lord. Healthy, beneficial. It's not a mutation, but form. Scientifically, people kind of they feel if something does not fit in a particular category, it's mutated. Therefore, we can say, what is that form of the Lord? Nrsimhadev. He has the torso, neck downwards, except his nails. Everything else is of a human. And mind you, he does not have a tail. He only has the head of a lion. Have you ever seen Nrsimhadev have a tail?
No.
He doesn't have a tail. So the entire torso is of a human, and the face is of a lion. The nails, they are of a lion. So Nrsimhadev, it's like he comes packaged with Prahlad Maharaj. That's a complete package. Prahlad Narsimha. Okay? So who's Prahlad? Prahlad is the son of the greatest king of all times. So he's a prince. There were other siblings, but Prahlad was the one who would always get straight A's. So his father was always posting on his social media, my son got all A's. So his father was very proud of Prahlad. The other sons would sometimes get A minus. He would always get A plus. Prahlad. And Prahlad was so generous. He would help others also do well in their exams. So he was loved by everyone. Prahlad, tell us what are the 20 most important questions that could come. And Prahlad would figure it out in his brain. He had that kind of aptitude. He could just figure out from how the chapter, the lessons were being taught. He could figure it out. And the children would all do well. So they were all sold out to Prahlad. That Prahlad, you helped us pass in our exams. Our parents are happy. Every day they are giving us vegan ice creams. What? How can we repay you? Prahlad said, all right. There's this nice facility. What is this facility called, Rajesh?
Kirtan Center.
There's a nice facility, Kirtan Center.
Pittsburgh Kirtan Center.
Okay, Pittsburgh Kirtan Center. Let's all gather there. So Prahlad would come with all of his friends and they would start chanting Hare Krishna. Now, some of those friends would post this on social media. News would spread. So the news spread to his father, who was against Kirtan. Well, actually, he was for Kirtan when it was done for him. So there was Kirtan like Om Jai Hiranyakashipu. So he would be very happy with that Kirtan. He would have his idols there and would personally pose. Does this look more benevolent? Does this look powerful? They would have images like that. And people would go and worship, offering lambs to Hiranyakashipu, offering flowers to Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu would have the best of the cameramen shoot that and post. Very good marketing strategy, Hiranyakashipu. And because he had a good marketing strategy, he controlled the market, monopolized the market. and thus he became the most powerful. His monopoly extended to the upper planets. Like Brahmaji said, hey, I'm not on social media, so leave me out of it. Everyone else had subscribed to the marketplace. Hiranyakashipu's marketplace. So they were all subservient to Hiranyakashipu. So Prahlad is making everyone chant Hare Krishna. News reaches his father. His father gets very, 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 very concerned. Not angry. You have to be politically correct. Hiranyakashipu is still ruling Arrogant. So very, very, very concerned. So he called in the teachers of Prahlad. Their names were Shanda and Amarka. Beautiful names, right? Very catchy. So Shanda and Amarka, oh, they were such scholars. Amazing. They knew the scriptures like the back of their hand. So good at it. In their hearts, they accepted Krishna as a Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, their hearts were very weak. They were very weak hearted. So, although they believed that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, they doubted themselves that is our belief correct? Maybe Hiranyakashipu is the Supreme Lord. Because of this dilemma, they're constantly troubled. What is it that we should teach the children? Somebody whispered into Hiranyakashipu's ears. I think Shanda and Amarka are confused. So he said, all right, I'll give the syllabus. Shanda and Amarka were not relaxed. They're like, we are just following the syllabus. In the heart we worship, but we are following the syllabus. So when Prahlad started becoming popular on social media, and all the children actually started, trending on social media, chanting Hare Krishna. Hiranyakashipu called in Shanda and Amarka and he said, is this what you teach the children? Don't you know who Vishnu is? Shanda and Amarka is like, yes, he is your number one enemy. One and only person on the wanted list of Hiranyakashipu. If anyone gives any information about Vishnu, that person will get an entire planet with all the malls and various facilities. Anyone give any information. No one had information. Lord Vishnu is smart. So Hiranyakashipu had no idea who Vishnu was, and suddenly Prahlad is kind of chanting for Vishnu's name, is chanting Govinda, Govinda, Krishna, Krishna, Narayan. So he tells the teachers tell him that, sir, we don't know. This is out of syllabus. Maybe Prahlad fell for a scam. He must have hit a link. And then some Trojan entered and took over his system. And that must be the Vishnu Trojan. So Prahlad is, it's not us. So Hiranyakashipu said, so what do I do? He said, give us one more chance. He said, we need a little more funds. All right? Smart people. Give us a little more funds, little more resources. And we'll see that, Prahlad's hard drive is virus free. We'll do that. So Shanda and Amarka come back. Hiranyakashipu gives them this chance. Lots of funds. So they come back. And they take Prahlad to a corner like, they are alone with Prahlad. And they ask him, Vatsa Prahlad Bhadram Te Satyam Kathe Mahamrishi. Oh, Prahlad, you are so fortunate that all fortune be bestowed upon you. We'll give you all vegan ice creams, chocolates, all fortune. You can also go to Disneyland. You arrange for it. Prahlad says, what about a trip to NASA? Yeah, we'll throw that into it. All auspiciousness to you, Bhadram. Balanati kutastubhyam esha buddhi viparya. Where did you get this data, this information about Vishnu? How did your mind get polluted with Vishnu's information? And they asked him, tell us in secret. We promise you, our lips are sealed. We'll not tell anyone. Whatever we whisper in our ears, it will stay right here. And let death come to us. We will not reveal the secret to anyone. Prahlad is just looking at them. What kind of alien language is this? I don't understand it. So they simplify it for Prahlad. They ask Prahlad, oh Prahlad, has this pollution of intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? Prahlad, you know there are enemies, right? You have to be very careful. They can be very dangerous. And this is how people scare you into being subservient. Isn't it? As soon as I tell you, you could have trouble with your F1, H1. You're like, I'll just follow, whatever. Prahlad, is it the enemies? We are all your teachers and are very eager to hear about this. Please tell us the truth. Have you heard this before? What is the average age, except Lalit? Lalit is out of this equation. The average age in this room, what would be the average age? Average?
No.
The average age.
35. No, I thought average death age. 34, 35.
34, 35? Lalit, you're? 7? 8? 7? 7. Okay, we'll take 7. He's like, yeah, no, 7. Prahlad is 6. I mean, he doesn't even fit on any of the mean median mode of the graph. He's way outside this graph. He's 6. And the Srimad Bhagavatam explains what is Prahlad's reply. Okay? So if you can type SB 7.5.11. Search for SB 7.5.11. We are there?
7.5.11.
11. Yes. Shri Prahlad Vacha Parashvaschetya Sadgraha Pumsanyanmayaya Krita Vimohitadhiyam drishtas
Vimohitadhiyam drishtas
tasmai bhagavate namaha.
Tasmai Bhagavate Namaha.
Prahlad Maharaj replied, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose Maya, external energy, has created a distinctions of my friend and my enemy by deluding the intelligence of man. So Prahlad has been asked, how did your intelligence become polluted? And Prahlad's answer is, people's intelligence have been polluted because they think in terms of my friend and my enemy. Indeed, I am now actually experiencing this, although I have previously heard of it from authoritative sources. Now, there are very strange stories about eccentric professors, scientists. Like one strange story is, and most of the scientists, generally, they are revered as scientists only when they have like crossed 50 years of age, right? So whenever you think of really prominent scientists or scientists who are well acclaimed, you're like, okay, they may be in the age group of 60 to 80, typically. Yeah. So one such scientist was into, in his lab, and there was something interesting happening, very, very involving. So his assistant, the house assistant, he was married, so they had a house help. So the house help comes up to him and whispers, sir, your wife is about to leave her body. He says, please tell her to postpone her death. This is very important right now. Now that's eccentric, isn't it? However, it's not that they're being stupid. Not only have they figured out what different interactions in this material world mean, they are also kind of convinced that death can be a little managed. And if they were not convinced like that, we wouldn't have so many advances in medical science. If a doctor was not convinced that death can be managed to a certain extent, then we would not have advances in medical science. Is that true? Now, obviously, in the ultimate sense, they realize that at one point of time, you have to give it to death. But they try to challenge it as far as they can. So that is what makes them a little eccentric. They're not really eccentric. They're very thoughtful, and hence the way their thought process works is, it's like electricity, 440 volts. Is it 440 volts right now? Here also? In the wires? 440 volts?
Here is 100, 120 or 140.
120. 110? Okay, 120, 110 volts. What would happen if you touch a naked wire with 110 volts? It's not good. It's really not good. But is there anything happening to the copper wire itself? Now, what if the voltage increases to 10,000 volts? What would happen to the copper wire? It will melt. Science makes sense. So it is not that the copper wire is unaffected by the current. However, at 110 volts, it has sufficient resistance to let the flow of energy happen and not be much affected by it. We are not able to tolerate it. Scientists have a much higher capacity of thoughtfulness. So when they express their thoughtfulness, we are not able to understand it. All right? And And what does a scientist do? A scientist is 110% inquisitive. 110% inquisitive. You tell a scientist, hey, you have to take care of your health. So he's like, put a drip on me. Let me work. I have to find out what this means. It's not that they'll say, I will not eat. They'll have a solution. They know they have to survive. But they wouldn't want the kind of interruption, the normal kind of interruption that normal people want in their lives. True? Isn't it? Let's suppose we are supposed to get $1 million by traveling 22 hours, and the condition is that you have to travel by road and you have to drive by yourself without a companion. Do you think you are going to sleep? Where do you find that insomnia from? How does it hit you? Because you are so much wanting that money. You are so much wanting that thing. Scientists want an answer to their inquiry. Alright? So therefore, a scientist is never able to understand this kind of differentiation between friend and enemy. They say, let the politicians handle that. They are into understanding, into getting answers to certain interactions in nature. Therefore, Prahlad at 6 years of age is expressing that attitude, that kind of aptitude. And it's like a slap back onto the teachers' faces. Because they're asking him, is it the enemies? Did the enemies hit you? Did they stab you? And Prahlad is like, what do you think? I'm the most secure firewall. I don't let these kind of my friend and my enemy dichotomies hit me. Because I understand these dichotomies hit people who are having a wonderful romantic affair with Maya. They're like, I love Maya so much. Sometimes she's a little difficult, but generally it is so comfortable. So, and we'll conclude with Prahlad's statement in the next verse. So, verse number 12. Sayadano vrata pungsam pashu buddhir vibhidyate anya esha tathanyoham iti bheda gata sati. Translation. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a Pandit. Pandit means somebody who has figured out the answers to all their queries, the present queries and queries that are there. So one becomes a Pandit and does not make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks, every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. As soon as we think someone is different from us, and especially if they're better than us, there arises a creed within us that we want to be better than them. We want to possess what they have if we think that is attractive. Just imagine if we are free from such perspectives, so much of our time and energy will be saved. So be very selfish in life. Save your time and energy and utilize it optimally. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us the process. Puranas teach us the process. The ancients have taught us the process. The process is meditation. Because meditation allows you to filter out the distractions. Correct? When is your next exam? You know, when do you have to sit for the exam?
I'm done.
Write a paper.
4 months after.
4 months after. When was the last one?
Like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So you had to kind of sit with a question paper and answer it.
Mhm.
Was it online or was it
Offline.
offline? What was the duration?
2 hours.
2 hours. Did you remember your parents for those 2 hours? Did you remember what are your ambitions in life? Did you remember what kind of clothes? Did you remember your bank? You are meditating right there. Those questions, they kind of hypnotize you. Till the time the question paper did not come, you are like freaking. And as soon as the question paper comes, one pointed attention, you are in samadhi. The problem is it is only 2 hours or 1 hour every 4 months. And for those 4 months, you go back and collect all rust. And then you have to dust it off 15 days before the exam. And again, go for 2 months of meditation, 2 hours of meditation. And after 4 years, you're like, I'm done with meditation. Now I just have to increase my bank balance. So you let the 4 months of training become everyday life. And you let go the 2 hours of meditative sessions that you would have. What you did, what was beneficial for you. Therefore, no one can help you as much as you can help yourself. So be the most selfish. Just as that king of the 21st generation was. Very selfish. But his selfishness was not based on taking resources from others. His selfishness was to see how better he could grow. Srila Prabhupada and Acharya would say that the Supreme Lord is so intelligent that he has made arrangement for an elephant to get its food every single day and an ant to have its food every single day. So do you think humans really need to do their masters just to get food? Unfortunately, humans think like that. So there can be no better zombies than humans who have convinced themselves that for eating, they have to do their masters. For sleeping, they have to do their masters. Humans should be thinking that they have to do their masters to go to other planets, not just to apply hair gel, but to see if they can meditate on those planets too. Isn't that worthwhile living? Yes? So, please go through the scriptures, understand the meaning, and see how you can apply it in your lives in very, very practical ways. Somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, what is Krishna consciousness? He said, being conscious of Krishna. You know, that's so easy. It's so easy. But down the line, you're like, it's so difficult. I've never heard anyone say it's so difficult to be conscious about eating good food. Although you have to struggle so much for it. You cannot just chant on rice grains and it becomes biryani. But you chant on beats and you can go into deep meditation. I've never heard anyone say that, it's so difficult to be conscious about comforts. But the simple act of just chanting seems too difficult. Maybe our priorities have to be reset. Yeah? So try it out. Chant Hare Krishna with proper priorities in life and see if it works. It has worked for a few people. I can say it has kind of worked for me. There could be others who could give their testimonies too. Yeah? So wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. So any questions or comments?
We have a question. First of all, very nice connections you made between the verses and brought the point back. But in spite of being inquisitive or being open to ideas, the dualities of this world still affect. And when these dualities sometimes are so strong that they take away the intelligence, and then you fall down to levels that you wouldn't otherwise have gone. So how do one handle the dualities of this world?
Do you know the story about the scientist and the boatman? How many of you have heard the story about the scientist and the boatman? Oh, okay. You should do a drama.
Yeah.
Do it sometime.
No.
I mean,
Let's do
okay. Now.
it. You can narrate and then we'll do it next.
So a scientist was going back to his hometown, his village after like a NASA scientist, let us say. And it's going back to somewhere in Africa, through jungles and a really remote place. So finally he has to cross a river, needs a boatman, so boatman takes him onto the boat. They are rowing across. The scientist looks at the boatman and he says, this looks like a simpleton. Maybe I should give him some tips. So he asks the boatman, have you ever studied biology? And the boatman said, what? There is no biology. The structure of the body, the structure of how the living entities, they have all this structure. Have you ever learned that? Studied it? He says, no, sir. He says, 25% of your life is a waste. Then he asks, have you studied it? So have you studied A? No, sir, 25% of life is waste. Have you studied B? 25% of another 25% lost. Have you studied C? Another 25% lost. So 75% of his life is wasted. Now there is a storm. A storm comes out of nowhere, like a whirlwind, and the boat is about to capsize. He says, where are the lifeboats? He says, this is just a boat. There's no lifeboat. This boat is the only lifeboat. So he tells him, sir, you have to jump across and swim. He says, I don't know swimming. The boatman says, 100% of your life. So coming back to the question. See, the boatman does not have so much access to understanding dualities in life. So, a knowledgeable person is one who knows that when one is, it's like, let me give you this example, and then I'll conclude with, or I will complete this statement. I'll stop here. Most of us have come to the Indian format of education. Who's not done that? Any of the others? So we understand the Indian format of education. 10th standard, 12th, then there is graduation, post-graduation, right? Bachelor's, master's, PhD. So 10th grade, 10th standard, 12th standard is still the same in India, correct? In 10th standard, after 10th, what were the subjects that you all stopped? Getting more data. Typically, I'll tell you what it is. History, civics, geography, social sciences. Is that true? Is it not? True? Social sciences given up. 12th standard, what did you decide to give up? If math, did you decide to give up bio? Some people do that. Biology, they give up. Right? 12th, if you take commerce, you give up science and you take up some of math. True? So a knowledgeable person, a person who's acquiring knowledge knows when to give up what. If they don't give up, they do not have sufficient time to manage everything. Unfortunately, in life, especially when we try to deal with the principles of life, we accumulate a lot of things which creates so many dualities on different levels. Too many accumulations. Right? I'm getting married. Oh, then how will my partner deal with my father and my mother? Or duality. How does it arise? Because we collect things. Collect. And we never let go. Especially in terms of relationships, we never let go. We are like one friend of mine, a huge extended family, like 60 members, with about 10 adults, male and female. They decided to open a WhatsApp family group. Alright? So 4 generations. 4 generations are there. The eldest, there are 10 of them. As soon as we opened up the WhatsApp group, like, hey, we are all on this group for the first time. Every morning, each one would say, Namaste Nana, Namaste Nani, Namaste Dada, Namaste Dadi, Namaste Extra Dada, Namaste Extra Dadi. And they would say, Ashirwad Beta, Ashirwad Beti, Ashirwad Beta, Ashirwad Beta. All of that in that. After 15 days, what do you think happened? Some of them just muted the thing. You have to know when to let go of relationships. That is knowledge. Because with relationships come so many other assets. Right? Yeah. After 25 years, you can have an alumni meet with all those relationships that you have in the past. That works. But every day having that, imagine the kind of conflicts that would be there, misunderstandings that would be there. After 25 years, just imagine after 25 years, you meet your husband or your wife. You think you're going to have any misunderstandings? So after the children have been raised up, the husband can go to the male satsang programs, the wife can go to the meet after 15 years, alumni meet. I'm just joking. That's not what I'm recommending. But what I'm trying to say is, this is what helps us shed off unnecessary baggage. At one point of time, death is going to do that. So before that, intelligently do what is essential. Helpful? We'll stop. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Rohinipriya Prabhu ki.
Yeah.
Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai.
So we are very grateful for Rohinipriya Prabhuji to give such a eloquent talk on understanding how to be self-motivated. And if you have more questions, you have more inquisitiveness, you can meet personally Prabhuji. You can take his number, I can help you out later on also. And we'll have another program of Prabhuji on Wednesday at Shamsundar Prabhu's house in the evening. So you are invited there also. And we'll have such motivational speakers more often here in Pittsburgh. We'll be having His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu coming on January 12th. So please take take advantage of the facility, and then we'll have many other sessions on this. We'll start this pattern going on. Once a month, motivational talk with different speakers, and yes. So Prabhuji is traveling. Prabhuji, after this, we are going where? After Pittsburgh.
It's a secret.
So we'll follow you. Do you have a Facebook, Instagram, or something?
How can you live without it? You have to breathe.
We'll share Prabhuji's details on Facebook. We want him to come often here and inspire the youth. And this will be our great fortune. Thank you very much. So let us once again traditionally and loudly grateful Prabhuji by chanting Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So what's the program now? Kirtan or Prasadam?
We'll do 10 minutes, Kirtan.
So 10 minutes Kirtan, meditative Kirtan. Yeah, let's do that. 2 hours of meditation in 10 minutes here.
Yeah, 600 minutes.
600 minutes. Sorry. It's nice meditative kirtan and then prasadam. And then after prasadam, we can have more kirtan overnight. It's a holiday night. How much ever you want to do kirtan, no one is stopping you here, right?
No limits.
In India, we are celebrating today the eve of Veer Bal Divas.
Veer Bandha Divas.
We are honoring the sacrifice of Guru Tegh Bahadur's sons.
Yeah.
The Sahibzadas.
Very good. That's good.
They were like, convert. And they said, if I convert, will we never die? No, I don't die. Then why should we convert? So they were buried inside a wall, alive. One was 10, the other was 7, I guess.
Jai.
So I just was saying meditative. Do you all want meditative or do you want a combination meditative going to?
Yeah.
Going to Brazil. Cautious.
Slowly with your heart. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Hare Krishna. So now you have Prashad?
Yes.
Huh?
Can you do lesson with this?
Narasimha, yeah, Narasimha prayer. Without that,
Ashish will say.
Ashish Prabhu, please come. Please sit there. Mic passing. Jai Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की गौर प्रेम
Hari Bol. Amazing, wonderful, thank you, thank you. So, in our group, bits of our group, we have some people who have come for the first time attend this kind of session. So we have, please introduce your name and where you're from.
I'm from Riya. I'm Riya. I'm from India. Sorry. But right now I'm coming from Canada just to visit my brother Ashish.
Wonderful. So let us welcome Ria to this beautiful, wonderful program. I'll now be chanting Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
My name is Pooja. I am from India, but now I'm coming from Syracuse, New York.
Pooja's is not first
And
time.
it's not
Pooja
my
is-
first
Really?
time.
I'm
Let's do Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Your daughter of Ramachandra?
Yeah.
Oh, Hari Bol. Oh. And
My name is Sarthak. I live in Philly, but I come from India. So, yeah.
okay,
You are
so
a wonderful
Sarthak,
brother.
Hari Bol!
Sarthak, the story with Sarthak is he wanted to come for the youth festival here from Philly, but he had a trip to New Vrindavan because somebody went there, and then from New Vrindavan he reached in the afternoon, and then he got another car which stopped here.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has been traveling for like around 5 hours, the whole day actually, to come and reach here for the youth program. So he's from Navi Mumbai. He's a councillor of Rohinipriya Prabhu. And so let us welcome him loudly chanting Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
So let's have Prasadam. So the news for Prasadam is that today the Prasadam feast has been made and prepared with love and devotion by Krishna Baldev Prabhu and Mukund Lila Prabhu.
Hari Bol!
Okay, Mahaprasade Govinde.
Mahaprasade Govinde.
Namo Brahmane Vaishnave.
Namo Brahmane Vaishnave.
Kalpapurnya Vadamrajan.
Kalpapurnya Vadamrajan.
Vishwasura Vijayate.
Vishwasura Vijayate.
Sharira Vidyaja.
Sharira Vidyaja.
Jadendriya Tahika.
Jadendriya Tahika.
Jive Vishesage.
Vishesage.
Tar Madhye Jivati.
Tar Madhye Jivati.
Lobhamoya Sudurmati.
Lobhamoya Sudurmati.
Narkijita Kadina Samsare.
Narkijita Kadina Samsare.
Vishnu
Vishnu Vardayama.
Haribar Jivaja.
Haribar Jivaja.
Swaprasad Indilobha.
Swaprasad Indilobha.
Namrit Pao.
Namrit Pao.
Shri Radha Krishna Gurga.
Shri Radha Krishna Gurga.
Shri Chaitanya Nitai.
Vimla Shri Chaitanya Nitai.
Jai Shri Radha. Shri Gopal Ji Mahaprasadam ki.
Jai.
Please come. Please come over here in the queue over there.